I think we do. That's one. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Community Liveaboard meeting with your Harbor Area Councilman Todd Lowenstein, your city manager, Mike Wazanski. I want to just introduce a couple dignitaries that I see out in the audience. From our Harbor Commission, we have both the chair, Roger Carlson. Give a wave to everybody so they see you. And one of our other Harbor Commissioners, Vicki Callahan, give a wave. So if there's anything wrong with the harbor and the city that these guys can't answer, go attack those two. With that, I want to hand it off to the Commodore of King Harbor Yacht Club, Francie Hope.
Hey everybody, welcome to all of you. What a great turnout for this this meeting. Very important meeting for all of you. And I'm going to just hand it over to Councilman Todd Lowenstein, and he'll be able to address your questions and concerns. That is right.
That's right.
Okay, good.
That's right. Thank you. First off, let me thank Francie, Mark Hansen, who's been very involved with organizing this, and the board of the King Harbor Yacht Club for hosting this today. Great location. Too bad they didn't get the weather right, but you know, we're good. So, hey, before we get going, I want to introduce a few other dignitaries. One is our city manager, Mike Wazanski, who's here, and our city attorney, who's over in the corner, Mike Webb. So this has been a long time coming. I know I was as antsy, or maybe more antsy than all of you, to meet. We kept this away from the COVID outbreak and also the holidays to make sure we tried to get as many people as possible here. So let me go over a little bit of the groundwork today. This meeting is really for all of you. It's not for us. We want to hear what your concerns are so we can relay it to the folks at Majestic. I'm here to listen. I know both Mikes are here to listen, and the Harbor Commissioners are here to listen as well too. We know that this is your home. Many of you have been here longer than I have. I've only been in the city 24 years. So a lot of you have been here since the 60s. I've talked to a number of you. I talked to a gentleman yesterday, 92 years old, as a liveaboarder. So this is your home. We understand that. We understand the chaos that this has brought to your life, and we're very sympathetic. I will tell you that I was blindsided. I know Mayor Brand, who unfortunately couldn't make it today, he sends his regrets for not being able to make it. We were all blindsided. We had no idea this was coming. What happened was, what was it, a year and a half ago or a year ago, the lease transferred. A lot of you knew the Guthries who were involved with this, transferred to a group called Majestic, Dr. Ginsburg. They own a number of them. Thank you very much. Now that COVID, I get time frames totally screwed up with COVID, so thank you. February 2020, that's 2 years ago. So we didn't know that this was coming. None of this was mentioned. We actually didn't even have much of a say on when this all would transfer, because basically we could not withhold consent for any non-good reason. Basically, we had to have a very good reason. We didn't have a good reason to withhold consent on the transfer of the master lease. So this was a shock to us. I heard about it from somebody. I'm like, you're kidding me. And at that point, we kind of went into action. We did meet with Dr. Ginsburg and one of his representatives and talk with him about it. And we had a little bit of a stay in terms of any type of other actions. But that being said, we're still really concerned about the future. And as I'm sure all of you are, because there's a lot of unknowns here. So I wanted to bring together some folks from the city to listen to your concerns. City Manager Wazanski has been very involved in this. He's our new city manager, by the way, doing a great job already. And he was our assistant city manager before that. So he's very familiar with this area. And he's going to give you a little bit of summary on what was discussed, where we're going to go forward. What I'm not going to tell you, I'm not going to give you false promises today. I don't do that. I under promise and over deliver, tend to do that one. I'm not going to tell you that things are going to change, but what I am going to tell you is we're doing our best to stay as close to the Majestic company as we can in order to keep our liveaboards here. And we know how important this is. And I will tell you, the mayor told me this, any new leases that we're gonna go forward, we're gonna try to make sure, I can't promise it, try to make sure that liverboards are part of that lease. And that you guys are an integral part of our harbor. A lot of you keep your eyes and ears down here. So, you know, I'm not here every night, clearly not here every night. Staff's not here every night. You know, the harbor patrol comes in and out. But what happens is that you're here all the time. You see what goes on. I've gotten emails from you and concerns, photos, everything about what goes on down here. And so, you know, you're an integral part of this environment here. And I don't want you to think that you're an oversight. You're a big part of my constituency. And, you know, just because you're not on land does not mean that this is not your home. So I want you all to know that. I'm here to take questions today from you the best I can, answer questions. This actually will be available on Zoom. It's recording right now. I'll send out a link to any of you that want that. I'll try to find a way to get it on the city's website, on my page, on District 2 page, so that you can watch it later. I know a number of people couldn't make it today. It's very difficult to get everybody together at one time, as you all know. So, but anyway, we'll go through a few things. City Attorney Webb is here to listen. He can't provide legal advice. He can't tell you what to do, but what he can do is take your concerns down. You know, we've turned to him for advice, obviously, on what our rights are. What I can tell you is the master lease was signed decades ago, well before any of us were here that are in the city staff or elected officials. So we didn't have much say. What was done was basically it was a turnkey, so that whoever took over the master lease would basically conduct business. They'd sign leases, they'd maintain things, hopefully. And we understand that there's some fall through in that, and that there hasn't been great follow-up with maintenance down here. So that's another concern that a lot of you expressed to me. So anyway, I'm going to introduce you to Mike right now. He can tell you a little bit about where we're at. And then if anybody else, I don't know, Mike, I don't know if you can speak or not if you want, but probably not. For those of you that couldn't hear because Mike didn't have a microphone, he's here to listen, take down everything. He provides advice to us, the council and the mayor, city staff on this. So he's here to take notes and take your concerns down. So anyway, without further ado, here's Mike Wazanski.
Afternoon, everybody. Yeah, pleasure to be here. Happy to be here. And as Todd said, really same goes for me. Listening, trying to understand exactly what your concerns are and do our best to relay those to the current leaseholder. We first heard word of this intention to perhaps transition away from liveaboards here in Basin 1 in the fall. And when we did hear of it, we convened the leaseholder and their staff members, Todd, the mayor, myself, and our waterfront director, and brought everybody in to ask really why and try to understand what the genesis is. After talking it through with them, we were able to convince them at least to hold off on that. They talked about water quality concerns. They wanted to implement some additional requirements to try to clean up the water. But we said, well, that's fine if that's what your operation is looking to do. But you need to provide your tenants an opportunity to respond, an opportunity for due process, and a chance to really take whatever corrective action that might be necessary if that's truly an appropriate requirement and responsibility of part of future tenancy. So they've done that. We were pleased that they halted what they called at the time sort of a blanket transition or eviction. So we were pleased with that, but here we are now, and I understand there's still maybe intention to transition away from liveaboards in the basin. So we want to gather really your concerns so we can sit down with them again, talk to them, and better understand where they're heading. We as a city, after receiving word that there were some water quality concerns, have conducted some of our own tests to confirm that from our perspective. I can tell you, at least from the sampling that we performed last week or 2 weeks ago now, we performed sampling in the morning during low tide. We performed sampling in the afternoon during what we would call sort of mid to high tide. Both of those results were very good. We tested for coliform, we tested for fecal matter, enterococcus, the things you would traditionally look at in water constituency to know if it's healthy. And I can tell you that the results were very good. In fact, they met all of what we consider a Recreation 1 harbor marina standard. And in fact, they met them with flying colors. So we have, as a follow-up to that, requested from our lessee what exactly their results were when they sampled and really what caused them some concern and alarm. And we will be comparing notes to understand maybe some of their original issues. But for now, that's kind of where we're at. We'll be talking with them. Your information today, your concerns today, we'll certainly pass on, and we'll do our best to try to continue to emphasize the value of liveaboards in this basin and as part of this harbor. I've heard from Kevin Ketchum over at Port Royal, strong advocate for liveaboards in their marina, and I think there's a way to do this in harmony. But ultimately, as Todd mentioned, and Mike's looking into as well, we have limited rights as it pertains to what happens to your specific leases. And I don't know if they're slip agreements or I'm not sure what form they're taking right now. Yeah, so we don't have an ability, at least as we read the lease now, an opportunity to control how they execute those documents with all of you. So we're evaluating that, and again, as I said, we'll take your comments today and do our best to filter them and pass them on to the leaseholder now. So with that, maybe just open it up to your first questions.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Hey everybody, I'm Bill Brogan. I live aboard over on UDock. Get the microphone, Bill.
Yeah, why don't anybody who would like to speak, if you're okay, come on up.
Testing. Okay. Can you hear me okay now?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Todd, thanks very much for getting us together, and Mark Hansen and King Harbor Yacht Club. Great venue. Appreciate it. Actually, what I have is a statement. All right. Number one is evictions. If there are any veterans here, all right, that you think you've reached to the point where you're going to be homeless because of this eviction topic, see me. I can give you a phone number at the VA. All right. The VA and HUD are very interested in seeing that nobody goes homeless. It's a big project. They're proactive on it. All right. So that's about it.
Thank you. Who else would like to come forward? I can only, unfortunately, it looks like I'm connected here. Yeah, so I've got a limited radius. Trying not to rip the speaker down. Vicki?
If I'm not there. Thank you. My question is the new fee that has been levied on the liveaboards. Why should it be just for liveaboards and not for everybody? And why should people who don't have a toilet on their boat be forced to pay for something that they can't use? And why should they pay more than if they did it themselves?
That's double the price.
It's the slumlord playbook.
Those are similar questions that we've asked and will continue to ask. So we are aware of that concern, and I think it's a very, very practical question. Raphael?
Thanks, Mike. I just want to add to what Vicki said. A lot of people don't use their holding tanks, including me. I always go ashore, and I'm on record telling the marina about that. So why should we be paying $125 a month for that? And the other thing is, we spent a couple of $1 million building two pump out stations. And I see boats that go there periodically. So why should those be redundant again? So that's it.
Yeah, thank you, Raphael. Yeah, we haven't completed that project yet. We are in the process of it. Council's approved the construction contract and plans and specs, and that's actually going to make a big difference when that pump out facility does get upgraded. So we're looking forward to that. Include some dock work as well.
City Attorney Webb mentioned that we have somebody on staff named Lila O'Mara. She's an angel. Any of you have followed her on Facebook? She's our housing coordinator. She works with everybody from the homeless to other folks that are struggling to find permanent housing. So I want to give you her contact information in case you need to contact her. I've talked to her yesterday. She's very open. She's very concerned about the situation. So let me give you her name and her contact information. It's Lila O'Mara, Lila, last name Omura. Her email address is lila.omura@redondo.org. And her phone number is 310-318-0655. And that's the number to reach her in the housing. So, sure, 310-318-0655. She's amazing. So, at Lila.Omura, Omura, and it's Lila @redondo.org. I don't need to tell anybody how to spell Redondo here, do I? Okay, good. So yes, and of course, I agree with you, Vicky. It seems unfair. Just because somebody's here on the weekends on their boat doesn't mean that they could be just as guilty as anybody else at not following the rules, right? So I think equal treatment means a lot here. It should mean a lot. Yeah,
Money to empty a bucket.
that's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
they charge over double what it costs normal.
Yep.
$30 per pump out.
And the folks that don't use it, why are they subject to it? So, yep. Come on up and ask your question so everybody can hear.
All righty, will do.
Thank you.
Hello. I've been around for a minute. Had a boat in the harbor since I was 8 years old, a lot smaller than Randy's boat. But I've been in the harbor my entire life, and this is not a brand new problem. Literally, this has been going on forever. The concern of the new ownership is water quality and supposedly liveaboards dumping their tanks. But I'm going to tell you right now, full disclosure, I'm friends with Heather. She owns the Honey Bucket. So the bottom line is she has personally, as have other people in the marina, busted people dumping their tanks. And I know of somebody personally who has gone around and been telling people about dumping their tanks, and the people that are the most guilty, in my opinion, having been around here since I was 8, I'm no longer 8, freaking the people dumping their tanks are a lot of times some of the newest boaters because they're ignorant, not because they're stupid, but because they're ignorant. And the liveaboards are taking the brunt of this, and we're paying the price for it. And I do understand what they're trying to do with imposing the levy on us as liveaboards is to force the people that have smaller boats to go into a porta potty situation because you're going to pay either way, right? Okay, so let's say that's the case. Let's say I agree with that. Okay, I understand it. I don't necessarily agree with it, but I understand it. And this is a problem that has not gone away. I've smelled it. Everyone here has smelled it. And most of us, I would say, are not the ones doing it because we freaking know. And the people that are doing it are doing it. And so now you've got this whole problem going on. And the liveaboards are taking the brunt of it. Okay, so let's say I agree with it all and it's all good. Now, what I'm most concerned about, well, not concerned, I would say, what I think is egregious is that the management of the marina is charging us $125. I happen to know because I can pay Heather, right? I pay her per pump out, or if I do it on a monthly basis, it drops down $5 per pump out. So that's 35 per pump out, which comes to 70, even with her new rates at 80 per 2 pump outs. That's significantly less than 125. And that seems like a high administrative fee to me. I'm not a rocket scientist, but the math doesn't seem to work. So anyway,
No, it's
those are my concerns.
you make really good concerns here. One of the problems I have with this is they're lumping everybody together, the guilty and the not guilty.
They just try to drive everybody
Right.
out.
So the problem, and I don't think, I mean, anybody would want to see whatever in the water that shouldn't be there, right? But they shouldn't lump everybody together. They need to do an educational program before they start evicting people, and give them warnings and things like that. But people that have been good residents here, have followed the rules, should not be lumped in with the people that newer or have been here a long time that are not following the rules. And that's the problem with this, I think. So Vicky, you want to have a comment?
Also, having been around for more years than I want to comment, in the old days when you brought your boat into the harbor, you had to get a mooring permit. It was done through the harbor patrol, and they would board your boat, check out your holding tank, wire it shut. You could take the wiring off, but they would wire it shut and give you a lesson on what you could and couldn't do with your holding tank. And you couldn't keep your boat here and pay rent until you had a copy of it in the office. When you went to Catalina, in order for you to get a mooring, you had to have the blue tablets put in your holding tank, which meant if you pumped it into the harbor, everything turned neon blue around you and everybody knew you were kicked out in perpetuity and not allowed to come back. There's nothing wrong with doing that again. I don't know why that is such a hard concept, but if we got mooring permits again, this whole thing would go away.
Yeah, thank you, Vicki. That's actually something we're looking into as staff as well. Our Harbor Patrol unit, for whatever reason, stopped providing that equipment inspection, and we're looking to turn that back on. So we're evaluating that option.
How you doing? My name is Matt Johnson. A lot of you know me by Jay. I'm also on UDOC. So everyone knows how to spell Redondo, but show of hands if you know this is a charter city. Okay, so a couple of you involved. Well, they could explain what a charter city does. We do have the ability to create an ordinance to protect us. So I strongly recommend that we do that and try to put this to a halt immediately. You know, is it a strong mayor format or so it's the city manager? Okay, but yeah, we need to create an ordinance or a measure to protect us. There's no better time than now. So.
It's an interesting thought. We have not explored that, but that is something we can look into as well. We have what's called a city manager, city council form of government. I work on the collective behalf of the mayor and council. So it's a partnership, and of course they're responding to you all as community members. So ordinance is not an easy thing to implement. It takes time. It has to be researched and imposed, and it can take several months to do something like that. But that's a fair question. We can look into that possibility as well. No, the ordinance can be approved by the mayor and council. They have the ability to actually do that administratively. Yes.
My name is Alan Duran. I own Blue Pacific Boat Washing and Detailing since 2009. And I'll tell you one thing, the best thing in the world are these liveaboards. I'm telling you, they're the police. They're the ones that keep you active. And when I skippered the Honey Bucket, thanks to Mark, I was a captain for the Honey Bucket going all around, which was really pretty good. So these were the people that actually deserved and kept the safety of every slip. Every boat owner that I've ever met, from Raphael, that had the best, from Mark, who has the best, no matter what. If you get rid of the liveaboards, you get rid of history. This is incredible that this is even being challenged. There's supposed to be a percentage of these liveaboards right here, and every one of you are priceless to me. I pumped out all your boats. I skippered the Honey Bucket. I cleaned your boats. I dove underneath your boats. I'm surprised that all the other liveaboards aren't here to speak, but Raphael is my idol. He is the best, I'm telling you. And Bill, I love Bill, is the best too. That ramp was supposed to be built over there. We stopped that. So this is kind of ridiculous to me. My name is Alan Duran, Blue Pacific Boat Washing and Detailing, period. And I live in Hermosa. And my boat was on D-Dock in Port Royal. I got my license in 3 harbors. I didn't want it over by Najas, but To me, I think it's kind of stupid that this is even being brought up. If it's a conglomerate that wants to take over, shame on our city. This is an institution right here. This yacht club is priceless. So I just wanted to put my 2 cents in. Some people said I'm not a liveaboard, and I'm not a liveaboard. But I love you people. I've seen you. I've seen you guys. I did everything for you. And shame on the city of Redondo for taking away the legend and the honey bucket. Thank you.
Just a reminder, I don't know if everybody was here when we first started, but we are not ultimately the folks responsible for this process, right? We are the leaseholders, landlord effectively. We have a very old document that controls what we can and can't do as it relates to your tenancy within the slips. Yes, sir. You want to come up? How you been?
Good, thank you. Hi, John Marasu. I'm not a liveaboard. I've been a liveaboard, and I plan on being a liveaboard in the future. My question is, so the water quality, it reaches a certain level if there's too much crap in the water. And what happens? Is there a fine after that? And if so, if there is a fine, can that be spread somehow throughout the boaters? I mean, what's the issues? Why is it such an issue?
Yeah, there is no fine at this point. We actually are subject to a water discharge permit that is controlled by the Regional Water Quality Control Board. That's a subset of the State Water Board. We are obligated as the municipality of record to monitor what's happening at our discharge pipes, our storm drain outlets effectively. We don't have an obligation in our permit to actually monitor the water inside the basins. When we heard of the current lessee's concerns about water quality, we initiated our own testing. I mentioned that at the start of our remarks, and our sampling came out quite good. Our water looked very, very clean the date that we sampled, both in the morning and in the afternoon. We took 3 different samples at the mouth of the basin, midpoint of the basin, and deeper into the interior. All 3 spots, like I said, flying colors, very strong results. So we're not on record observing any kind of a water quality issue. In fact, historically here, we felt like our harbor is one of the cleanest in the state, to be honest. We've always sort of felt good about the status of our water here. So this was a little bit of a surprise to us. We reacted to that when we were put on notice effectively. We were pleased with the results we received. And as I said earlier, we're going to start comparing our data to the master leaseholders to find out maybe what's missing here. And the standard we're applying is what's called a Recreation 1 boater standard or harbor standard. That's actually for bathers. That's a bather standard. There's actually another thing called the Recreation 2 standard for stand-up paddleboarding or other type of boating. We're actually passing at the Rec 1 standard. And we don't even technically allow swimming in our harbor. We know it happens occasionally. But we are actually meeting that standard as well, which is what you would expect at the beach after a discharge from the storm drain. So as I said, the water, at least on Wednesday, a week ago, was pretty good.
The fish are gone in the marina. There's no fish in the marina right now.
Well, and that could be indicative of something else. We didn't test for metals and other things. So we were really testing
fish for months.
Yeah.
I'm in X1 and there's no fish.
For those of you who don't know, I was a liveaboard for almost 5 years, so it's near and dear to my heart. But one of the things that I have an issue with Majestic is if they're so concerned about the water quality, then how come they're allowing crumbling styrofoam floats under the docks to be crumbling and floating out in, because that never disintegrates. It's forever.
And to address Alan's concern earlier, again, Mike said, this is not us. What we're trying to do is the opposite. We're actually trying to remove any obstacles that are in the way here to keeping people here. So we're trying to remove things like water quality as an excuse or other things as an excuse so that they have fewer excuses to evict people. And that's what we're trying to accomplish. So I hope people understand that. You know, if we had our druthers, this meeting would never be happening. We would have, you guys would be here forever as far as I'm concerned. So I'd like to let you know that. Jeff, you had a question? Come on up.
I know a lot of people are pissed off about the $125 demand letter that was sent through the United States Post Office that could also be considered mail fraud. The city took a meeting with KHM in regards to the $125. So they could also be considered conspiracy. Okay. Yeah, well, it's $96,000 a year KHM's getting. Okay. That demand letter they sent was breach of contract for everyone. Basically, I went to the office and I asked them, who has the authority to force somebody to contract? Nobody does. You can't force another man into a contract. Can't do that. It's illegal. Now the city knew, or they should have known, how illegal that letter was. That's about all I got to say.
I wasn't sure how we were going to have this meeting, but I wrote a agenda that I would like to introduce as a document. I know we don't have time to go through all of it, but one of the things I want to mention is that our bill has gone high, very high all of a sudden. And one of the things that caught my eye is that the kilowatt hour price of electricity in Redondo is 11.4 cents, I think, per kilowatt hour. And they're charging us 32 cents per kilowatt hour. That's a significant difference.
And Todd can speak to this more. The electricity issue is not just affecting liveaboards. I can promise you that. We've got residents across town who are really concerned with the rates that have gone up in 2022. We're looking into it. In fact, Todd has made a referral and asked that reps from Southern California Edison, and I think later he's going to expand that referral, include an invitation to folks from the California Public Utilities Commission as well to talk about what's happened. It's surprised a lot of folks, and it's actually affecting the city's budget as well. We're going to be needing an additional $100,000 at mid-year to cover these increased electricity costs. So it's a problem, might be a problem statewide. I don't know. It's certainly affecting a lot of folks here in Redondo Beach. Yes. So you went from 30 to 40 a month to $160 is what you're experiencing. That's incredible.
It's funny that these two things collide. Actually, I talked to a reporter today from one of the local Fox affiliates. She actually may be coming here. But there's somebody I know who lives in an 1,100 square foot apartment. Their bill went from $81 in September to $648. I'm not joking. So this is not, I know somebody else whose mother, their bill was $900 last month. So the mayor's bill, it was in the newspaper, went up 250%. This is not isolated. We're gonna follow this. It's a real big concern. So I totally get it, Raphael. This is not just you guys, it's everybody. It's not limited to the harbor. I don't think it's limited to Redondo. I know I'm hearing from people in Manhattan, Torrance, other places that are. So come on up here if you have a question.
I just want to say, I'm Randy.
Hold on. One person at a time, please. Yes, sir. No.
I live with my girlfriend on her boat.
Yeah.
And she holds the lease with her slip.
Yeah.
And I believe what they're trying to do is nickel and dime everybody to drive them out. We lost a couple people on the X dock. They got tired of this bullshit. They moved to Redondo Ray.
Yeah.
You know, if they're gonna nickel and dime, look at the parking passes they did. It was $75 for a liveaboard parking pass.
Yeah.
Now it charged $150 a month.
Yeah.
For a parking pass. It's just not getting rid of the liveaboards. And I mean, well, that's what they want to do, but they're gonna nickel and dime everybody that's on a set income here.
Yeah.
And veterans to her, she's on a set income.
Yeah.
And they're gonna just nickel and dime you out.
Yep.
That's what they're gonna do. And you guys gotta stop it.
We're going to do our best. The idea about an ordinance is actually a really interesting idea that we're going to look at, because I'm glad you brought that up. So thank you.
Like Crystal Cove Apartments, evict everybody there and turn it into a hotel. Those are rumors. Now, I don't know if that can be done,
Yeah,
but it's freaking a lot of people out.
Yep.
here. Yeah. We got somebody that lives hand them out right here.
Yeah.
You know?
this is
And I'm sure there's a
enormously,
few other-
enormously, not only financially, but enormously disruptive in all your lives. I'm really sympathetic that those of you who have friends here that you've been here for 30 years and 40 years, and all of a sudden you see these huge increases when there's supposedly a new sheriff in town, whatever you want to call it. But it's really, really distressing to us. We're going to see what we can do on a ordinance level or something like that.
Can I say one more thing?
Sure, go ahead.
Don't get mad at Mike.
I'm not.
He's on our side.
Right, right.
Stacy, Mike Aker.
Yeah.
Stacy and Mike, they don't know what the fuck's going on.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
I'm not taking sides here,
Yeah.
but I do understand that.
No,
And
I want
he
everybody
works
here.
for Majestic. I understand that,
That's
you
it.
know. He's not setting the rules. The gentleman in blue, did you want to speak to something? Sure. So, okay, so the question was, for those of you who didn't hear it, is there any way we can take the lease away from them? Hang on, Jeff, because I want to make sure that everybody gets their. So I can't comment on anything that could be legal right now. It wouldn't be right for me to do that. So we're looking at all remedies. I don't know. I don't want to, let you in on any strategies or anything else. It's not the right thing to do, but we're going to look at everything. And so, yeah. And for those of you that don't know my email, you can, I may regret doing this one, my email anyway. Let me give you my email address. You can start sending me stuff and we're going to pass it along so we can keep a good record of it. If anybody can spell my name without looking at it, right, I'll give you $100. No, it's, oh, maybe I shouldn't have said that. All right, so, but you've seen my name before. So he's written me, so Jim's written me. So it's TODD.LOEWENST as in Tom, EIN as in Nancy @redondo.org. So I'd like you all to document these things. I know some of you, I've been talking to Bill, I've been talking to Bob Halberdu. I don't know if he's here or not. Jim, I've been talking to. So just email me these kind of things because I want to know that. It's hard. Like I said, you guys are our eyes and ears down here. We don't hear everything, and it's difficult to do so. So, Jeff, did you have another question? Come on up. No, come on up because I want to make sure everybody hears you. Okay.
Yeah, I went to KHM to find out who wrote that letter, the $125 letter. Nobody would sign it. It's illegal. You want to put KHM out of business, you file a claim against them. And when their lawyers go to speak against you, they have no personal jurisdiction in the matter. You file a bar grievance against the lawyer. 3 bar grievances against the lawyer. He loses his license. Bye-bye, KHM.
Okay.
I'm Glenn. I'm in a S12. I'd like to know if there's any way we can get the master lease and look at that. And if not, if you guys can look into it and see what any clauses are concerning liveaboards there. And then what's the recourse if the current leasee violates any of those tenants? And then can you pull it from him or just make it so they enforce the ones of the master lease? That would be something that I think everybody would like to know. Or maybe I'm the only one that doesn't know, but I'd like to know. All right. Thanks, Mike.
We have reviewed it. Mike can talk to this in more detail. You want to talk about our review?
Yeah, we are looking at that, and of course, we're always monitoring our leases, sometimes better than others, to ensure that they're complying with the basic terms. This is unique. There is language in the lease that accepts our ability to approve subleases with you all in the license agreements and slip lease agreements that you have. I don't know what the terms are for your agreements. I've heard that they might be 30 days. So I don't know the status of your individual documents. You should look at those. The question has been raised about the agreements that you have with the marine operator are critical. I mean, that's ultimately the document that governs your relationship with them. So we'll continue to look at what we can do in managing the master lease. I would encourage all of you to look at your specific slip agreements as well to see what remedies you have in that relationship.
Majestic can't do whatever they want, can they?
They have to operate. Yeah, they have to operate under the terms of our master lease. That's ultimately what governs our relationship with them. And they should, under the law, operate under the terms that govern your individual agreements as well. I haven't seen those. We're not privy to those, but we'll have to see what ultimately is occurring.
One man's breeze can't ruin the whole city.
Bill, you had a question?
It's a question concerning the legitimacy of clean marinas. Now, as best as I can figure out, and by the way, this is what Majestic is using to substantiate their, pump out. Well, if you Google it, and it says that it's an association of marinas, by marinas, for marinas. They're writing the rules, and then they're turning around and they're nailing us.
So again, we've been doing review of all the legal agreements. If any of you want to send me your individual slip agreements, please do so. I'd like to see them. We'll forward it along to our legal staff and our city management. So we want to, again, avoid going into legal matters today. It's probably not the right venue to discuss this, but we're looking at everything right now. So thank you. Other questions? Roger, come on up. And again, this is Roger Carlson. He's the commissioner of the Harbor Commission.
Yeah, I'm currently the chair of the Harbor Commission. I get that honor for a couple more months. Vicky knows what an honor it is. She's been it before. My email address is rogerc@mac.com, ROGERC@mac.com. Can't help as much as these other people, but I'm happy to help and advise and listen. My boat's on UDOC. I'm not a liveaboard, but this harbor is the reason I live here. I care about this a great deal too. I don't like the changes coming on me as a recreational boater, and I do not mean at all to minimize, what's happening to liveaboards. That's far more important, but it's still the reason I live here. I go diving out there all the time. I'm wearing the mask because I don't even want to get the sniffles because there's only one more month of lobster season left, and I don't want to miss a day. So I've looked into a bunch of stuff. I've got a bunch of stuff to say. I looked into the Clean Harbor Outreach Program, or the Clean Harbor Program, that apparently they are up for renewal on. That's something the Coastal Commission's a part of. I've emailed the local Coastal Commission rep. You should too. The main part of that is outreach and education, and I've never seen Majestic KHM do outreach and education. It includes a lot of things like bilge oil. It includes a lot more than just, not dumping sewage in the water. And I agree, if they are concerned about water quality, they shouldn't be dumping styrofoam in the water, and there should also be inspections for bilge oil getting pumped out into the water. I see an oil slick in the harbor regularly. So if you're concerned about water quality, you shouldn't have these, decaying styrofoam coffee cup dock floats, and you shouldn't have an oil slick in the water. You should go through and, put a gallon of water in everybody's bilge, pump it out, see if you get an oil slick, see what you can do about it. There is a set of guidelines on the website on this Clean Harbor Program. It includes a lot of outreach, a checklist. The marina is supposed to have a plan. The marina is supposed to do outreach. The marina is supposed to, hand out things like oil diapers. I haven't seen them do that. And, I do remember getting the inspection when I first brought the boat in. It would be good to have that back, at least at the city level, if not at the harbor level. So that's something. If you have complaints about the harbor outreach, like I wrote to the Coastal Commission and I said, I don't see how you can renew these guys on a Clean Harbor Program when they have styrofoam dock floats and I haven't seen any outreach. Your mileage may vary, but you might want to contact the Coastal Commission. As a residential boater, as just a resident, I feel nickel and dime too. The guest parking has gone higher cost. My guests used to be able to pay $10 for the whole day. Now they're paying $2 an hour. My boat is in the middle of UDOC, and my guests now have to walk to one end of the mole or the other. They used to be able to park, used to be able to get a guest parking pass to park anywhere in the harbor. Now that it can only park, limited spaces. That's a lot less convenient. I don't know the reason for it. We first heard about this on the Harbor Commission when Majestic KHM asked if the city would be willing to charge for parking at Moonstone Park, which, you know, talk about nickel and diming. It's an unmowed field of dead grass. And it's a city park. You shouldn't charge for parking at a city park, especially an unimproved city park. So the Harbor Commission, you know, rejected that idea. So that was, you know, one more way we just see that, one more way that I see, I shouldn't speak for the whole Harbor Commission, one more way that I feel nickel and dime by these guys. As just a recreational boater, you've at least gotten letters from them. I haven't gotten any letters of any changes at all. So the gate guards went away. There used to be someone at the gate, at both gates all the time. There's no one there at all anymore, but I'm still paying the same amount and I have less security on my docks. There is a roving security guard, but especially when there's, you know, surf up and a lot going on over here, that guy in the golf cart doesn't make it past my docks very much. So I've seen things like on my street at home, guy down the street has an RV parked. One day he's leaning against his RV talking to a neighbor and he feels the RV move. Turns out there was somebody living in his RV. So I really don't want to come down here and find somebody's living in my boat because there's no security anymore. So I really appreciate having you liveaboards. You know, Bill's at the end of my dock. Thank you, Bill. You know, I really appreciate having you liveaboards here on the docks. There's been other little things like the gate to U dock hasn't closed and latched in years. I've written to him about it a number of times. I've never gotten a response. I'm starting to deal with them in writing. So you won't fix the gate. My gate's always unlatched. My boat's unprotected right now. You got more people walking by. You got no gate guards. And he's got a new sign out on the street, out on Harbor Drive, advertising for, you know, public parking, come on in. So I've got even more people coming in, walking past my boat with less security. And, you know, I haven't gotten any notification in the mail saying, hey, be a little more careful on your boat. Put your GPS away, lock it up because it's less secure now. I find that the bathrooms are not as clean. The showers are not working. I don't use the bathrooms as much as liveaboards do, but, you know, I'm a diver. I still have to, you know, go to the bathroom. I still like to use the shower. Yeah. I think that's everything on my list. Anyway, thanks a lot. I don't know what we can do. I don't know what I can do. I'm happy to help. I'm happy to listen. My email address again is rogerc@mac.com if there's anything you want to send me or do. Thanks a lot. And I really hope we can do the best on this. It's crazy that to me that you guys have to get involved in this. I know this, you know, these same guys in the same group owns a lot of apartment buildings. Are they coming to you? Are the apartment buildings coming to the planning commission? You know, if somebody leaves too much stuff on their balcony, are you seeing the same kind of problems that we're having here? I mean, this is so much more than just like, you know, some parking lot or apartment building in the middle of the town. This is a one of a kind thing. It's the reason I live here, and I just don't understand where it's going, and I hate the trend of it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Chair Carlson. As both Roger and Vicky have said about making sure that they abide by all the other things that are out there. There's an old saying that when you're pointing at somebody, there's three fingers pointing back at you. And that's true here, where, you know, styrofoam in the water, other things that are in the water, why are they picking on liveaboarders? I just don't understand it. So in answer to your question, we've not had the same experience with the apartments, with this property owner as we're having right now. And this is horribly disruptive to all of you. So, and again, we don't want to have to necessarily defend, we want to be here to defend all of you. That's why we're here. We're here to listen. We're here to defend you, to be your voice. And we're going to do our best we can to make sure that you can stay here as long as possible. So does anybody else have any other questions? Okay, come on up again, Matt.
Actually, you, Doc, I'm the gatekeeper when I'm here, so we're protected when I'm here. I don't let anybody in if I don't know them or they don't have a key. And for the gate not closing, I'll try to make that work again. So this master lease, it was brought to my attention that we actually can all view it somewhere. So I want you to tell us about that. by my understanding, we are not protected like regular tenants. So you guys talk about apartments and houses. It's a little different. Unfortunately, unless we pass this ordinance, that'd be great. And then also, since we are still in a state of emergency in California, correct?
Yes.
So there's not going to be any evictions because of that alone, by my understanding. And then these rent increases, it's not nickel and diming, it's hundreds and thousands. So this is unbelievable. Maybe we could do another ordinance for some type of rent control there or something. And then by my understanding in the master lease, it talks about maybe a minimum or maximum percentage of liveaboards. And I wanted to know about that.
Okay, I will try to answer those questions as much as I can remember them. The first thing, the eviction moratorium, I believe is still happening. I don't know how it applies to liveaboards. The master lease is a public document. So yes, it is available to you. I will tell you, after going through, I guess it's hundreds of pages, there's only a small section that deals with liveaboarders. So anybody that would like a copy of it, email me. I will email you the copy of it. And you can have whoever you'd like to review it, yourselves or anyone else that represents you. Okay, so the other question you had related to, what was the other questions you had related? Percentage, yes. I don't recall seeing that. I don't think it was in there. But you can, again, review it when I send it to you. Glad to pour through it. You sound like very well up on legal matters. So, and in terms of an ordinance, it's something we're going to look at. I can't promise you that that's going to be the right solution, but it's something we will definitely look at. And hopefully soon. So, any other questions?
Can we be evicted?
Hang on one second, Jeff. Everybody's got to get their turn.
Can we be evicted?
The question is, can you be evicted? I believe so, but I cannot tell you with any certainty. Jeff, please, one person at a time. I cannot tell you with any certainty what your rights are. So I believe it does allow month to month, if I'm not mistaken. But that's something that, again, it's a case by case basis, depends on your slip agreement, whatever it might be. If you do get an eviction notice, let me know. Send it to me, send me your slip agreement, and we'll look at it. That I can tell you we'll do. So surely there are other questions. Okay. So just to summarize, we are in your court. We're here for you. The city, this is not the city doing this, it's the master lessee. We will do our best to fight for you. We were as surprised as you were that this all happened, and that you can correspond with me 24/7. I can't guarantee you that I'll be waking up in the middle of the night and answering you, but I'll answer you as soon as I can. And we'll do everything we can to keep you here, because I think that's, you guys, as I've said, you're our eyes and ears down here. You're my constituents that I'll fight for. And again, you do an enormous service by living down here. So I want to thank you on behalf of the city and the other boat owners down here. So, but thank you all for coming today. I'm glad to answer any questions afterwards, and I really value your participation. So thank you. Absolutely. Well, that was a guidance. If nobody has any other questions, I'll be here till 5. So anybody who would like to answer questions or even beyond it if necessary. So I'll be here. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay.
Big round of applause for Councilman Lowenstein and City Manager Mike Wazamski. You guys don't need to rush off. Feel free to come up and chat with the city dignitaries informally. I want to mention to you all that there's a giant harbor amenities master plan underway. There's flyers at the sign-in desk. We're planning to put in a new boat ramp in the harbor, maybe rebuild the sport fishing pier and a bunch of other stuff. So grab a flyer, get educated on that. Any of you who haven't been to the club before, who just want a little tour and see the clubhouse, myself and my 2 membership gals over here at the desk, we'd all be happy to take you up and show you the club. So hang out, socialize. Thanks for coming.